Yesterday, President Joe Biden said that he's putting his vice president in charge of the situation at the southern border, and Kamala Harris laid out her plan to take the lead on it. There are accusations that the administration is limiting access, and some Republicans say Biden's passing the buck to her, so she has a big job ahead of her. I mean, they didn't care so much when, they just threw Betsy DeVos in there or, Ben Carson.
Isn't he exactly what we typically point to as like the smartest person in any room? Like brain surgeon, right? Isn't that what you always like? Other than rocket scientist, that's what you say. Like he's no brain surgeon, but he can't run HUD. Weren't we told when Barack Obama was elected and people called him unqualified? So many people said that's a racist statement, that is racist to say that our first black president is unqualified to hold the office merely because he's only been a senator for 2 years.
That's
now
exactly
Dr. Carson,
right.
One of the most renowned surgeons, pediatric neurosurgeons in the world, he's too stupid to learn how to run an organization that has 8,000 employees. I don't know, Gov. You tell me whether those same people are going to say that's a racist statement now.
Well, for 8 years, every time a person commented on something Barack Obama did and disagreed with him on a policy question, they were called a racist.
Do you think she is afraid of taking this job, Joy? You think she's afraid of this job?
Absolutely. I don't think so. I don't think Kamala Harris is afraid of anything, frankly, from what I could gather.
It's a shame that President Trump had shamed him in going to the border. President Trump has been more presidential on this issue than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
Further is that with these compassionate policies at the southern border, they're actually so cruel because no one is using them more than those cartels that are taking advantage of these migrant children that now are being absorbed by North Carolina and throughout the country by an administration that refuses to admit or be transparent about any of their decision making.
I wouldn't go that far to say that they're refusing to be transparent about any of their decision making. And no, we're not doing it to win votes. There's a core constituency of the Democratic Party on the far left that does think that we should have an open border, and they're very open about that. That is not Joe Biden's position. It is not the vice president's position on it or the bulk of the party.
And we have got to have policy that is about passing comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway towards citizenship, shutting down these private detention
Clarify this
facilities.
for me, though, because
yes,
I do
please.
find it confusing.
Yeah.
I believe if someone crosses over the border, it's illegally, it is illegal, and you would decriminalize it.
I would not make it a crime punishable by jail. It should be a civil enforcement issue, but not a criminal enforcement issue.
Okay. This is a huge problem. There's even the zero tolerance and the inhumane behavior of the Trump administration did not stop people from coming in to the country. People are escaping violence. They're escaping drugs.
It's the craziest border system in terms of legal, not legal, craziest system anywhere in the world. The whole world laughs at us with our court systems. Everybody comes across, they touch our land, you have to go to court. You need Perry Mason. Other places, they say, you're on our land, I'm sorry, you can't come in. You can't come in. Us, we take them to court. We have judges all over the place. It is absolutely, and we could fix it so easily, but we have no support from Democrats, as you very well know, because they want open borders. They want literally millions of people to flow into our country. And of those millions of people, tremendous numbers of them are people you don't want in this country.
I think it's just going to get worse. It's a worldwide problem. Remember that Angela Merkel let in 1 million refugees into Germany.
During the peak of the so-called refugee crisis. Before the crisis, violent crime there had been decreasing, down more than 20% in 7 years. Then between 2014 and 2016, it spiked by about 10%, with nearly all of that increase due to refugees.
We had to admit the increase of violence which we had over the last 2 years in Germany is related to the refugees.
This is an issue, but I believe that Kamala will have a humane approach. You know, you cannot leave this to the other side.
Under President Biden, the number of people on the terror watch list arrested by Border Patrol has shot up significantly compared to President Trump. Let's get right into those numbers. If we can pull this graphic up, this is for our southern border. Brand new CBP numbers showing arrests on the terrorist screening database. So far for fiscal year 2022, which still has 4 months left, there have been 50 of these arrests by Border Patrol on the TSDB. You take a look at the year.
Look at what Janine Pirro, this this is just outrageous, Janine. Janine, I'm looking at you. You should be ashamed of yourself. She said that these kids are a lower level of human being. I mean, we're going into some weird territory here when you say something about another human being like that, Janine. I used to know you. I used to like you. What the hell is going on with you, Janine?
You want to lecture me? You want to talk about escaping violence? For 30 years, I helped people escape violence, and I punished those who committed that violence. I didn't talk about it. I didn't put myself on a chair in front of a camera and yap about something. I fought. I prosecuted. I convicted. I sentenced. And when the laws weren't strong enough, I fought to change the laws. I created task forces and provided shelters and safe havens, connecting with churches and social services and mental health professionals. So don't you ever accuse me, because unlike you, I don't just talk the talk. I have actually walked the walk. I did something. I did something. I actually did something. So instead of sitting on your butt with your friends pontificating, get down to the border, go into a courtroom, a victim center, family court, a shelter, volunteer. Have the courage to step off your comedy club stage and do something that matters, that makes a difference. And yeah, Joy, I'm talking to you.
You know, they're cleaning up really a mess that was started by someone else, and they're less than 100 days in, and they're working on this now.
So under this administration, they broke a lot of records. A record number of migrants have already died under Joe Biden, over 700. Now add 46 more to it. A record number of Americans that have died from drug overdoses come across an open border. It's just this administration is breaking a lot of records. The records are all bad. Historic illegal immigration. By the end of this fiscal year, we're going to have close to 4 million encounters. Add to that another million gotaways, that's 5 million. This administration their policy is inhumane. And that's why to this day I support President Trump. When he was president, we had the most secure border in my lifetime, a 40-year low. Illegal immigration down 83%. When you secure the border at that level, you save lives. Save lives. So I'm sick and tired of this administration telling me how humane their policies are and how secure the border is.
Great. And when people say she's not qualified, I don't need someone like Vice President Kamala Harris to come in as the expert. She's going to work with cabinet members, experts. She's just going to oversee it and be able to make some decisions, work on some diplomacy with some of these countries, and as she said, get to the root problem.
That's why I said a lot of people attacked the Trump administration, where I worked, saying the policies were, inhumane. Let me remind them, illegal immigration was down 83%, a 35-year low. So when it's that low, when the organizations aren't moving people, less women are being sexually assaulted, less children are being abandoned in the desert to die, less children are drowning, and look, less migrants die. Bottom line is a secure border saves lives.
And I'm sort of flummoxed at, this constant gaslighting by the Republicans that this is a new crisis. We know that this is not a new humanitarian crisis. This is, in fact, a humanitarian crisis caused by the Trump administration's policies.
It seems like Border Patrol is doing their job, and
they are stopping 1.5 million illegal border crossings in fiscal year 2022 alone. It's a record. Yes, the border is open, and here on Outnumbered, we've covered the children in a way that I would argue no other network has, because there has been an expose on CBS. There was one, I believe it was at NBC, about emergency intake facilities, about little boys complaining that they were getting feathers and bloody and raw chicken in Joe Biden's America in these facilities, kids on suicide watch lists, girls aged 13 to 17 urinating in bags. Where's MSNBC? I thought you guys were great humanitarians. Where's CNN? Where's Joe Biden? Why isn't the media allowed? We cover here on Outnumbered. I'm proud that we do on our show kids crossing the border, but this is the humanitarian Joe Biden America, where fentanyl kills Americans, where illegal immigrants cross the border, where children languish away in emergency intake facilities and 50 migrants die in what is the biggest mass atrocity we've seen on our southern border. Well done, humanitarians. Good job, Kamala.
That's right, and that's why.
Look, I'll leave it here, guys. The View could be watchable if they actually put somebody or two from the right to balance out what has become an unwatchable show. If you're a stay-at-home mom right now and you're having trouble getting baby formula, and you turn on The View and you see these folks giving the president and his party a pass, how could you possibly trust them that they're going to give you an honest perspective? This is definitely not the show that Barbara Walters envisioned 25 years ago. That's for certain, Carly and Tom.
No, it's certainly not.
I'm calling you out on that bullshit. I have no doubt that it's bullshit. You're trying to pull one over on me. I was born at night, but it wasn't last. I've seen a lot in my story past. Yeah, Jesus knows that he's taking notes on you. What you do?
My message is to all Americans, but to those Americans who are going through a lot, we love them, we're with them, and we will not let them down.